they feel that what I was doing was the cause of my needing a hip replacement and the deterioration of the femoral head on the right side in my pelvis. And they also wondered why there was no investigation. I says, I don't know, but I put my hands in the care of my attorney, and of course he didn't do what he should have done or what he said he was going to do, and that was verified by the judge. So then, after I talked with the judge and the Commissioner of Labor and Industry at that time, I called my attorney, but because I didn't trust him, I tape recorded it. And in the middle of the conversation and me asking him, well, why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that? He said something about Arne Carlson, Governor Arne Carlson, and I didn't really understand what he was talking about. Besides the hip pain, I was dealing with anxiety and stress, but I didn't really know it in a medical sense. I just was upset. And in the middle of the conversation, my attorney told me to not tell my wife, to not tell anyone that I knew, to get with a couple people that I could trust at work and take a forklift and have it smash into my hip, thus causing a new work comp injury that he could bring back up in court. And this is the original copy of my lawyer advising me to commit an illegal act and to damage myself further than what I already was, and my injury resulted in a lifelong disability. What an artificial hip looks like is like this. This replaces the swivel in your pelvic. This is put into your pelvis, and then this is set into it so it can swivel. This is the first implant that I had put in me in, I believe it was 1994. As you can see, bone started to adhere to it. I had my artificial hip replacement, and for a year after I had the implant put in, I complained to my surgeon at the time, and I only seen him 3 times in 1 year, that I felt one leg was longer than the other. And the reason was when I walked, I felt a little bit of a dip, favoring the right leg that this was in, I felt was longer than my left leg, which was normal. The doctor 3 times said I was fine. Both legs were of equal length. And the 3rd time I went in, I brought a co-worker with me, and that co-worker heard the doctor say that you're fine. But my co-worker had a tape recorder going, and the doctor seen it, and when the doctor seen it, he says, am I being tape recorded? And I said, yes, because you have to tell him that by law. And he says, get out of my office, I won't help you out, I won't write anything up for you, I don't ever want to see you again. So, since it was a year since the surgery and I was having problems, and married, I went through my wife's insurance and I seen an orthopedic surgeon through her insurance. That doctor told me right away, he says one leg is longer than the other one. He's seen me walking down the hall to the exam room from the waiting room. And he got me up on the table and he says, yeah, one leg is longer than the other one. I don't know how much, but I'll send you downstairs and we'll get that figured out. I went downstairs, walked between parallel bars, and they had different size lifts added to my shoe, and they found that I was 5/8 of an inch off. So, and its seat, and the new forklift, and its seat, and I had those pictures on the table with my attorney sitting next to me, but my attorney would not even show those pictures to the judge. There was very little evidence that was provided. The only thing that was really used was a statement from their doctor who did an IME, independent medical exam, and that doctor's working for the insurance company, and he said he didn't think that how I got hurt or what I was using caused the injury. Of course he's going to say that. He's getting paid from the insurance company. My doctor said he didn't know the cause, but he said in looking at the forklift pictures and me describing how I utilized and sat on the forklift and the working conditions and the speed, that he thought that if it wasn't the cause, it was at least a major underlying factor. And that's all the evidence that was presented to the judge. I did not have a QRC. A QRC is a qualified rehab counselor. That person acts as a go-between or a mediator between the insurance company and the state of Minnesota, the Department of Labor. He's a fact finder. That wasn't used in my case. I didn't know about a QRC. So we broke for what I thought was a lunch break, and I was outside with my attorney, and I seen the judge get into a van, and I asked my attorney, I says, what are we going to do when we go back after lunch? And she says, we're done. I says, what do you mean we're done? And she says, we're done. And I was just fit to be tied. I didn't know what to say. If I had known my rights, I would have fired her right there on the spot. Because what I've shown you so far wasn't shown to the judge. So while we were standing outside, my attorney, who was a subordinate attorney through the attorney that I retained, and said he was going to use all this information but didn't do an on-site investigation, didn't use witnesses, didn't use anything, doctor's reports, x-rays, whatever. That attorney says she was thinking about getting into a different form of law, and I said, what do you mean? And she says, well, work comp doesn't pay that much, and I'm thinking about getting into a different type of law. And she didn't discuss it further. So I got my car and I went home. Approximately 3 to 5 months later, I found out that that attorney that came with me to the work comp hearing quit the law office that she was working for and went to work for an insurance company. Insurance companies have a lot more money. Work comp attorneys are ruled and regulated by state laws. They have limited incomes in the result of work comp settlements. So I went back to work and I got a judgment from the Minnesota Department of Labor, from that judge, that it didn't go in my favor. I lost my case and I was fit to be tied. I called the judge who presided over my work comp hearing, and I told her what was going on and all the facts. And she told me, if what you're telling me had been presented in the work comp hearing, you could have possibly won your case. That tells me that, one, legally she can't say I got screwed, but two, I did get screwed. And that's obvious because of all the variable evidence against the company and their attitude. After I talked with the judge, I called the Commissioner of Labor and Industry at that point in time and told the Commissioner what was going on, what the judge said. The Commissioner said he was going to send me out a letter, which he did, and there were 3 names on that. And each name were experts either in biometrics, ergonomics, or kinesiology, and I didn't know what those were, but I explained to each one separately what had happened to me, what I was doing, what I was using, and how it was affecting me, and they all said the same thing.